Welcome everyone. Happy Friday. It's Versus on a Monday. Beetlejuice is a box office hit. Plus the Rings of Power. We'll talk about that. Lots of movie news. Special guests. I'm excited to be here. So let's get going. Get ready for Versus. Let's go. Let's get things started. Let's get things, as Alan says, started. Hey, everyone. How's it going? It's the usual suspects, Alan, Script Doctor, Angry Badger, and special returning champion, Paul Chato.
Hey.
Chato.
Thank you.
We have some other guests that may be rolling in late, so we'll see how that goes. And I have to warn all of you, they're doing rolling blackouts in California right now. My power's lost my power for a few hours last week. They're doing more of it. I don't know. It's over 100 degrees. I guess we haven't fixed the power grid situation here. So if I somehow go away, Alan, you know what to do.
Yes. Which is why California mandated that everyone will be buying only electric cars in 2030 or something, right?
That will relieve the grid. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'll help.
If you do the math, aren't they just powered by coal? I mean, you know, if you
you
reverse engineer, it's kind of powered by
Volvo, who has now completely abandoned electric cars. Not that I want to get on that trait, but they abandoned their Polaris line. They said they did some calculations that if ICE car owners all hold on to their car for only 5 years longer, it solves as many, if not more, ecological problems than buying an electric car.
But good thing that California and Tesla love each other.
Hey, I love Teslas. They're a great drive.
Now, if you can find a gas-powered one, even better.
Well, my son and I are thinking of gas swapping a Tesla, putting a K-swap to a Honda engine in one.
Well, let's go to the comments and see who's here. Say hi to everybody. I see Killick69, the nerd far away. Lots of people. Atomic Lori is here. She is here, taking care of business. I see a lot of familiar faces. There's Lord Thoth. Good to see you. Thank you for your support here. Let's launch right in. Let's go and get our thoughts on the Beetlejuice box office. Alan, if you would bring up the box office, it is, I believe, the third best domestic box office of the year. Beetlejuice. Alan,
Yes.
if you would.
Yes. There we go.
111 million in the United States, 36 million international, 147 million worldwide. Are we surprised that it performed so well?
No.
Nope. I predicted this.
Yes, I predicted it as well. I didn't predict it. I don't know.
I'm a little surprised. I didn't realize my theater was full of screaming teenage girls. Like when I said it was filled with fans, they thought I meant older. So no. It was filled with bored moms on their phone and they're screaming kids. So I don't know when that happened, how they all got introduced. If the moms were also bored, it's not like the moms were like, look, yeah, there's a whole new generation of fans for this of Burton. That's probably
it's actually
why.
Jenna Ortega fans.
Jenna Ortega, yeah.
Because the theater I went to,
screening, half of them were
my
adults.
age.
My screening, they were mostly adults, and half of them were cosplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was impressive. The screening I went to was mostly, put the movie aside. Let's talk money. It hit the younger audience with Jenna Ortega. You've got the older audiences that have known about this movie for years, since I saw it in a theater in the 80s.
Yeah, 88.
Yes. 88. Yeah, I saw it in the theater, and it's one of those that once you got it on video, because I worked at a video store, right? This movie was always playing because there's always, it's family friendly enough. It's got scenes that pop up you can watch in isolation. Great scene. And Michael Keaton is just, I mean, he's amazing. And he is by far the best part of this movie.
This had a higher cinema score than the first one, as Movie Cynic pointed out to me last night, that the people asking right after, or however that's done, that it's higher, it beats the first one.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised by the reaction, but it is still mixed. And there are people legitimately saying they really loved the film. Since I have you all here, Alan and I already gave our thoughts on our Friday review show. I want to hear your sort of capsule review from all of you and give us your review and what you thought.
Paul, I mean, you are the guest. Did you want to go first? Because
Sure.
I think Script and I might be a little aligned in what we
No,
think
I want to
was.
hear all three of you. We have
At
some
once.
more
At the same time.
Not at the same time. No, just really want to hear, because this is trying to get this movie right. Is you're threading the needle of, you know, modern audience, or they seem to think that they have to pay attention to modern audience. You've got the legacy of the movie itself, which has lots of politically incorrect humor. I watched the original the same day I watched the sequel, just to remember. It's like, oh yeah, he does get like a strip club. He goes to effectively a house of ill repute, which is something Beetlejuice would do. And Keaton is like on fire. He's so good.
Oh.
But Paul, starting with you, we'll get your thoughts, and then Script and Badger.
Well, you know, I mean, I like movies, but I also like the business of movies. And I have this theory or premise that people like are attracted to the premise of something in a way that is very difficult to define. And if you nail the premise, it's actually difficult to fuck up the movie. And which is why some people go, why do people go see Adam Sandler movies? Because he nails the premise. And the critics hate it, but he nails the premise. So the people out there go, I get what the movie is. It's not that hard. Murder mystery, Adam Sandler with Jennifer Aniston. I like that idea. Then all you need to do is just not trip over your shoelaces. That's really the key to the movie or a TV business too. People get way too complicated and way too involved. And so I was watching it as a former network executive and going, bravo. It's not a great movie, but neither was the first one actually. And truth be told. And so what are the elements? Keaton was just smashingly good. And he's a far better actor than what he was in the first movie, where he was just kind of a goofing comedian. This time, oh my gosh, just all those other layers on there were great. Ortega was fantastic. She wasn't doing Wednesday. Catherine O'Hara, there's not a single thing she does that's bad. Like, seriously.
I love her. She's like a modern Lucille Ball.
Yes. Yeah. And so the thing is, people are there because of the joy those actors bring. None of them have any baggage. And I would say that the vast majority of the people that are watching this movie have never seen Beetlejuice at all.
Well, this proves something. I mean, and let's welcome here. Verbal Riot is coming in hot.
So did I like it? Could they have chopped the first 30 minutes down to 10 minutes? Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know why they didn't, but I have a theory to that, in that this movie felt like it is corporate notes all over it. More bang, more hustle. Like, we can't let this fail. Oh my God. No, don't take this out. It's got to be in there. More warmth, more crazy. And the movie needed to calm down, but I just felt corporate notes all over it. So there's my thought.
It felt like that. And also I would compare to, look, I agree. Beetlejuice is not a great movie. It nailed one thing. It got one thing right that's more important. It's not the story. The story was convoluted all over the place. There were
4 different plot lines, basically.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because they got the characters right.
Yeah.
The characters are right. Conversely, Rings of Power doesn't get the characters, and that's why you're not invested no matter how good the story is.
Right.
So put a pin in that.
Yeah, look at Xena Warrior Princess. Love the characters.
Yeah,
Love
just to piggyback off of Paul, you look at the international number, 36 million compared to the 111 million. And it just goes to show that the rest of the world doesn't care about Jenna Ortega and probably doesn't care about the first movie either.
That's true. That's true. I want to get everyone's thoughts here on the film, since Alan and I have already done a review. Script will go to you, Badger, and then verbal.
Sure. So one of the things, like, to support what Paul said, they do a great job with the characters, and the actors actually are doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this film. The sad part is that we have two television writers, Al Goff and Miles Miller, who are fairly notable writers, but they write for CW stuff. Like, that's their caliber. And they got very lucky with Wednesday, and I thought Wednesday was a mixed bag. But one of the things that made the original Beetlejuice so funny is the fact that it's the living people that are inconveniencing the ghosts, as opposed to the ghosts inconveniencing the living people. There was no premise to this sequel. I mean, it has 4 plots. It's overridden. It doesn't follow the simple KISS rule, which is keep it simple, stupid. And I think that causes it, because when I was in the theater, it was a bunch of people my age group between 30 and 45. And even Keaton, trying as hard as he could, got a couple of chuckles out of the audience. And when they walked out, they were not impressed with it. They were just like, wow, at least it was only 90 minutes, but it was vacuous. I mean, Catherine O'Hara has like some of the funniest lines in the movie. I thought Michael Keaton was doing a great effort to try and hold this movie up, but I felt the editing was off, the cinematography was off, the makeup was atrocious. Like, you could tell Michael Keaton is in makeup, as opposed to when V. Neil was doing it back in '88, where it looked like that was his corpse talking.
Yeah.
It really just felt like the only people that were putting in effort was the cast, and like the rest of the production crew and writers were just trying to hit a deadline. And I think this is going to be a double-edged sword with regards to the studio system, because even though it's performing great domestically, and I hope it has the legs domestically to keep going, it's going to further solidify what Hollywood has been doing for a while, which is that comedies don't travel, and therefore we shouldn't be investing in them. Because if the box office is not going to break 40 million before the middle of this week, they're going to be like, well, then we just wasted, 10 times the budget that we spent in '88 on this movie, and we're only going to be getting a third overall in the return. And it's mostly going to be domestic. That's the bad part of it there. But I will say, if you are a Beetlejuice fan, if you are definitely a Michael Keaton or Catherine O'Hara fan, you should check this movie out, because you will enjoy their moments on screen.
I also think that there were so many subplots, so many plot lines for each character. It felt like they mapped out a season of a TV show and then
compressed
it. Yeah, compressed it. That's what it felt like.
I mean, they wasted
the
Monica
writers do.
Bellucci. She was barely in the movie.
What's
and
that,
then
Alan?
they wasted the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, please stop trying to make Justin throw a thing. He's been acting for 30 years. Just leave him alone. Let him go. Just leave him alone.
He was weightless in the movie. He was weightless, literally.
Yeah.
Badger, what do you think?
Yeah. Much like what Chris said and behind the scenes, what script and just said here, that it halfway through, I felt like sort of feels like a TV show. And oddly enough, had it been a full season that was like well developed, I might actually enjoy it. As a movie, though, I enjoyed everyone's performances, all the setups. It's just they didn't execute them. So like the path in between getting to the things I liked, I was getting bored and drawn out. And man, if they had just taken her out of the boarding school, the daughter, and had her living with Lydia, and had it just Monica Bellucci criminally underused, like, and that whole thing was like, why even do that? You could have come up with another contrivance. Again, have to point out, love the fact that when spoiler, the Latin father who we finally do see in the afterlife, and he's working the immigration counter. I don't know if that was done on purpose or not, but
that breaks the rules of the lore, because he didn't commit suicide, so he shouldn't be working in public service.
yeah, there you go. I don't know how much lore they were paying attention to. Overall, when I was out of the theater, it's like a 5 out of 10, and maybe in hindsight, just because the performances and all that, I could give it a 6 out of 10. But yeah, mine was filled with younger audience, and the script pointed out, I didn't even think about that. They might have just been strictly Jenna Ortega fans, because the time they made the most squealing was when they had the kiss moment. So yeah, That might be it. My whole thing is I don't think this movie is going to have the legs. I think this is going to have a drop off because the people that loved it for the first one or went to go see it because of love for the first one, I think this could be a 50-50. And if they find something they like here.
Let's see. Verbal. What did you think?
For me, honestly, man, it was just forgettable. You know what? Here's the thing. I didn't hate it. I mean, look, if we're being honest here, I don't think anybody was like on pins and needles waiting for, you know, the big Beetlejuice sequel. You know, we haven't been on our toes waiting for 20 years for Beetlejuice to come back. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like, you know, The Force Awakens, right? When we've been waiting for a new Star Wars. No one was waiting for Beetlejuice. I mean, so I went into it with pretty reasonable expectations, and that's what I got. I got a reasonable movie. Wasn't great, wasn't horrible. You know, like Chinese food. I mean, I was empty, you know, an hour after I saw it, and
shots fired, bro.
And no, and look. If we're being honest, and I've heard this said before, I've heard it said that Tim Burton is a one-trick pony, right? But he's really good at that one trick. Here's the thing, though. He was good at that one trick. He was good at that one trick. I don't think that works anymore. I don't think that one trick works anymore.
I'm just saying you're going to the wrong Chinese restaurants.
You know what? That is fair. But no, look, man, I think, like everyone said, the acting was fine. The characters were fine. If this were a TV series, I think it probably would have fared better. But then the problem with that is we're going to be comparing it to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right? So there really wasn't a win here. And I'm gonna say something a little, you know, a little controversial maybe. Maybe Jenna Ortega was the wrong person to cast for this because of the Wednesday comparison.
She's getting typecast for sure.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? It's like maybe they should have went with a different actress.
Right.
You know, even though I love Jenna Ortega, love her.
Yeah. She's very charming in the movie, I thought, especially the moments where she showed vulnerability and like, you know.
Yeah, no, she was fine. There was nothing wrong with her. It's just the comparison, though, is there. And, you know, the fact that Michael Keaton, you know, was not in the movie nearly as much as he probably should have been for a movie called Beetlejuice. It was just fine for me. Like, honestly, it was one of those movies where I wish I could have loved it or hated it, but instead it was just kind of like, okay. That was a Beetlejuice movie.
Well, I mean, he was only in 15 minutes of the first Beetlejuice, but they were very memorable 15 minutes. And that
right. And here's the thing: the first, okay, I get it. I get now why I left so empty. I felt like the first movie had heart.
Mm-hmm.
It had a heart to it. This did not. Like Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin were the heart of the first movie.
That's
and the fact that Gina Davis wasn't in this. At least I get Alec Baldwin's problematic, blah, blah, blah. You know, no one wants to touch him right now.
Well, no one wants to die on set.
Yeah.
Well, that too.
Right.
But Gina Davis is still around.
I know.
Yeah,
Jeffrey Jones' character.
Jeffrey Jones, right? But there's a very specific reason for that one. Yeah.
Right. Well, Jeffrey Jones. What's so funny? I have this app that this is crazy. When a friend of mine was looking for a house or place to live, there's this app you can search for, you know, PDFs
files
in the neighborhood. And I happened to be at the Grove. And I was looking around, you know, the Grove, and I looked on that app. Guess who comes up? Guess what actor came up? Jeffrey Jones. Yeah. He's on that app. His pick. You have to do it.
But it was interesting because you could tell Burton respected the character still. The character.
Yes.
So it's like, how do you, and I think he did a fine job.
And Jenna Davis is not in it because she's busy writing her woke translation
AI software.
AI software for scripts.
Yeah.
Well, remember, she's got like the Sweet Baby Inc. equivalent of a Hollywood diversity consultant.
She's had it for years.
For years, yeah.
Yeah. Gina Davis was actually in Blink Twice. We talked about. I don't know if anyone saw that, but sounds like nobody saw it.
I remember hearing about that because the last thing I saw her in was like an episode of Glow on Netflix.
Yeah.
Script,
Long Kiss Goodnight. Love it. Great,
Long
strong
Kiss
character.
Goodnight was great. Script, I think one of the reasons why you were affected by the makeup was because of digital film.
That's what I thought.
Possibly,
4K.
yeah.
It's way too clear. I think if you look at watch the original film with some acuity, you will see that the makeup is just as bad.
But it's
Or just
on
as obvious.
film, and that's different. I think
it's
it
also
adds.
lit differently too. Like,
Well,
that's the other
people
part.
don't know how to really shoot on digital. They abuse it, and I won't get into that. That's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I mean, to me, I was impressed in this day and age with the quality of writers that are available, that they actually churned this thing out. And yeah, Jenna Ortega there is there as a name. I mean, it's the show business. Business has got more letters in it than show. It's
Right.
about business, and this thing, I was vaguely impressed with. Just it felt like Warner Brothers had their mojo back, that they were maybe a little too skittish, maybe they're putting their finger on the scales a little bit too hard. But I think the movie business needs that kind of leadership sometimes.
I didn't feel attacked too, like while
No.
watching it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
That's all you need, is just to not feel like they hate me. It's
Yeah.
a very small little thing to
Well,
ask.
you can tell by the fact that Charles Dietz was actually treated like a good character. Like, they disassociate the fact that, yes, he's played by an actor who was in possession of some terrible material, but it's like, just because that's the case doesn't mean we have to denigrate the character he played that people liked.
Yes.
And I think that's a smart step to do. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, because it basically reminds the audience, like, yeah, sure, the guy may be a creep, but in this movie world, in order to maintain verisimilitude, Charles Dietz was a great father.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure that is maintained throughout the rest of this story that we're telling.
And Keaton was a pig, which goes completely against Keaton himself, but the character was a pig, which is like, wow. I'd like to see that in The Acolyte.
Now, the thing is with this film, where are modern franchises now with a movie like this? This is over 30-year-old film, beloved for the most part, not a perfect movie.
Nope.
But is this the best we can do?
That would be a shock.
Well, do we consider Beetlejuice a franchise?
It's not. I mean,
it's
it
not.
was a cartoon franchise for 4 years, so
Yeah.
and then it faded out. I think this sequel suffers from the same thing that was happening with Star Wars and Rings of Power and Star Trek, is that this movie is very much about the Beetlejuice world, but it's not about something. Like, the Maitlands were basically a ghost family stuck in a house and being haunted by the living. And they're trying to get the tables turned on that. Didn't work out for them, and they end up living together. That was the story of, like, sometimes you got to learn how to love your neighbor type of thing. This one here was so heavy layered with inside jokes about Beetlejuice, like the whole ghost house story at the show name. That was what Warner Brothers pitched the retitle of the original Beetlejuice to be. And it was all self-referential stuff. It wasn't really about anything. It wasn't about Lydia trying to reconcile with her daughter. It wasn't about Lydia trying to figure anything out with her father who had passed away. There's nothing going on with Catherine O'Hara aside from her grief storyline, which I thought was funny, is the fact that she's kind of monetizing it for artistic integrity, but she was still genuinely grieving for the loss of her husband. It was all parts of a plot idea just overwritten and smashed together. And I don't think it's going to have the same reference. And the fact of the matter is that this is coming from a set of pioneering writers, and pioneering not in a complimentary way, but pioneering in the sense that they take a simple story, they break it up and disperse it to each character in order to give them something to do in that story. I'll remind you again, these guys wrote Smallville, and for 7 years, they had the character of Lana Lang, and they had nothing to do with her for 7 years, to the point where she did everything, where she was possessed, married twice, she gets $1 billion, she runs a movie theater and a coffee shop, she does all these things, but she has no character for 7 years. That's these guys, and we got a simple taste and reminder of that writing here with Beetlejuice, because what does Jenna Ortega really want to do? Nothing. She's being dragged through the story. What does Winona Ryder want to do? Nothing. She's being dragged through the story. What does Beetlejuice want to do? Nothing. Dragged through the story. But his wife, his ex-wife who comes back, she's got a goal, but it's just revenge on Beetlejuice, and she's only in the movie for like 10 minutes. 3
scenes, and 2 of them she does the same thing: pick up, suck soul, move on. It's like, okay, how much do you earn for that?
Too. Usually a soul sucker is sucking a soul because they need it to sustain themselves. So where's the ticking clock element there? That is a 101 writing tool, which not used in this movie. And sadly, could have really motivated and given this thing some energy that they needed. And also the other part too is that these writers didn't do their due diligence because they made Beetlejuice do the possessing musical number, but that was the Maitlands in the first movie. And I remember that because I haven't seen Beetlejuice in the first one in like 10 years. And they picked the wrong song too.
Yeah.
I think it would have been funny if Dolores was on one of those men's MGTOW shows.
And just sucking all the souls out of them.
Yeah. Put her on one of those podcast shows where men complain about women.
But see, Script, you blame the writers, man. But this is a Tim Burton movie. Like Tim Burton should have caught all this stuff.
Well, Tim Burton's been broken since Mars Attacks.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say the thing that's missing for me were the Maitlands. I don't know if, for example, like, because I did rewatch the movie like the night I actually saw it. I said, I got to watch the original. And they are the heart of the film. They're kind of the good parents.
Yeah.
And the relationship with Winona's character is so good. Like, it's so sweet. They're protective of her. Their absence, and I don't recall. So I did not, weird for me, I did not leave for a bathroom break during seeing Beetlejuice. Did I miss a line? Were they ever mentioned?
They explained it away.
Yeah. And
we found a loophole. Somehow Palpatine returned. They gave like a one little.
They did. But you know what else was being missed from this?
I think I missed it. It was weird.
There was something very important missed from Beetlejuice. And that was one of the most, this was an iconic shot that was in the trailer for the original, featured in the first one. Beetlejuice's head spinning around on its neck all the time. That is an iconic image. They didn't even incorporate that in the sequel. And that's a big faux pas, because that's part of what made the character, people lean in and go, whoa, holy crap.
The Hollywood is in such a bad state. It's machine gun writing, machine gun management. They're just scared to death of everything. That's what I see.
And they have to hit their deadlines. So
yes. Yeah, it's just
we were talking like what makes a franchise. I think someone in the chat was saying Beetlejuice is an IP. It's not a franchise. For a franchise, I think for a film franchise, you need 2 good movies, hopefully back to back. Alien and Aliens, Terminators, Star Wars and Empire. You have 2 back-to-back great films where the second movie is almost better than the first, surpassing it. You've got a franchise. So this was not a franchise per se, but definitely with the cartoon, a popular IP.
No, this was a nostalgia movie. That's all.
They have to do a third movie because the title of this.
The title.
What the title of the third one is going to be.
Don't say it. Right. Yeah.
Well, on that note, there's a new show, and within like an hour, the trailer for a new show from HBO dropped. This trailer is called The Franchise. This show is called The Franchise. And from watching the trailer, no one's seen this, right?
No.
It's about making a Marvel type of movie. Let's watch this together, shall we? It's a minute and a half. Let's go.
Oh, was that body positivity cop there at the end? I didn't notice her.
That was her.
Bro, they really do hug up all their characters. She didn't look nearly as bad as before.
But you know what? She's actually a really good actress, man.
A lot of them are.
Yeah.
And they get into those shows.
I'm surprised it took this long for a show like this to come out. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm in. It looks funny. It looks very tongue in cheek. I'm in.
For me, it's too dry. Everyone's playing it the same.
There's a monotony to it, yeah. But at the same time, that's kind of true to the studio system.
This reminds me of a British show. This reminds me of a show called 2012, which was a British show in 2011 to 2012, where they actually followed the organizers of the 2012 British UK Olympics, and they made up a fake team to manage the promo and the Olympics parallel to what they were really doing, and it was hilarious. This looks like a less funny version of that.
I like the Ricky Gervais show Extras.
That was good.
Great. Yeah, so good. The Christmas episode of that show, I get choked up. It's awesome. This, I don't know. And the one guy with the hat, total Kevin Feige, like studio guy.
I think I'll watch it just to see the parallels and things that they're directly trying to make fun of Marvel for, just so we can talk about it, but not because I would find the whole thing.
But it
seems, yeah, I mean, I'm willing to give it a chance. Like, I'm willing to give it, one to 2 episodes, and if it's good, great. If it's not, then. But I'm willing to give it a chance. Is what I'm trying to say.
And anyone twig on the diversity of it?
Yes. No, I think that's good.
Well, I think that's part of it, right? That's part of the thing.
I mean, if they mock that kind of thing in the show, that'll be good. But it looks very generic. Like they're afraid to take shots at Marvel directly.
Yeah, it's not. I didn't. It just seems boring to me. It's not that funny. And I think you're right. I think it's pulling punches when it needs to punch.
But we can't tell you.
Not doing any good. This trailer's not doing any service for the show.
There was a Judd Apatow show during COVID along these lines. They had green screens and superheroes and things like that.
Oh, like the bubble.
The bubble. It was
that was horrible.
Horrific. Worse than awful. Just this reminds me, we have to be very careful when showbiz imitates showbiz. I think Ricky Gervais, as you said, really nailed it.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to watch it. It's not. I'm getting bad vibes. That's all I'm.
Well, Paul, we talked about this, but it just seems like when you pull punches in comedy, it's never going to be funny.
Well, yeah, and I want to see if they're going to go softball with this. Like if they do, then I'm out. But if they really punch in, then yeah,
I didn't see any of that.
That's who that guy is. The movie about there no Beatles song existing. He's the only one that remembers it. So he starts playing. It's called Yesterday.
Oh, that was the guy.
It was a really good premise. It was really good premise.
Went nowhere.
Poorly executed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But I like the premise for that film, and then it was weak.
Yeah,
but it had Lily James throughout the whole thing. So.
Yes,
what's that?
Lily James, who should have been our Ray from.
She should have been the one singing the Beatles songs.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
was that the Indian guy, the lead guy?
Yes, the lead guy. Yeah.
Dave Patel? Is that it? Dev Patel?
No.
The other guy.
No. Yeah. I know they all look alike, but.
What are you talking about? Okay.
they all look like Peter Sellers. What? I don't get it.
Yeah, right.
Well, okay. So we saw that, but let's talk about something that is a franchise, the Lord of the Rings franchise.
Oh, no.
Paul, I wanted you on this show because I saw your Rings of Power review of the first few episodes, and you were resigned. You were just, and for those, it doesn't matter if you've seen one episode or you're caught up to the 4 that are out. I want to hear your thoughts. And Paul, to plug your channel also, that review, I was like, oh my God, you just said it out loud. There's no reason to watch this.
No, it's you can talk about the writing and things like that. They don't have a show yet. There's no premise. That's really the problem. And I started thinking about it. If they had Anatar as the bad guy in season 1, and there is a story behind Morgoth killing off Galadriel's family. And then Sauron, his second in command, when Morgoth is banished to the Nether region, that she goes after him. And it's just not clear in even the first season that this is happening. And they just made up a whole bunch of little things for people to do, but at no time is there any real story. There's no D-Day that everybody is now assembling ranks and trying to convince beaten armies to resurrect their broken kings and people, and then other armies that is, no, I'm not going to join because we lost most of our people. Like there's that. I mean, I'm describing Lord of the Rings, but there's really absolute. It's just a series of vignettes.
What about Isildur's love interest? Aren't you shipping him in the wildling?
Oh my God, I got into trouble with saying that Isildur's love interest has got the charisma of a stamp collection and the body of an ironing board. And holy fuck, have I gotten like But you sexist pig, what is this, 40 years ago? And
No, if it was 40 years ago, we'd think that person is a man.
well, and my comment was basically around the fact that we are all collectively tired of hiring unsexy women or hiring sexy women and desexing them or making them dress like men. Like we're just all tired of it. Like Chris, you love your AI vignettes, right? One of the fun things,
they're amusing for sure. Amusing.
And one of the cool things about it are hot and busty those women are in all those vignettes, right?
In every single one. In every single one.
And you're welcome.
Get that right.
So, and the thing is, I mean, we are collectively tired of all these franchises desexing women. And I put it to you, even women don't want to see desexed women. Like,
and the men, they turn the men into pussies too that don't look masculine. There's no testosterone anywhere. It, like you said, it's a series of vignettes that give reasons for people to do things so that later on,
correct,
like there's an extra. But it's like they didn't need that.
And they added another bad guy.
Oh,
they added the new wizard.
Who the hell is Tyrion Hines playing? Who is the fat wizard that he's supposed to be playing?
Dom DeLuise, I think is.
That would make sense. The Cajun wizard.
And look at again, I'm looking at this like a cheesy, terrible network executive, and I'll repeat this again. Back in the 90s, I was dragged into my boss's office. I saw he showed a bunch of tapes of female actresses, and I don't know if I can say this here, but he said, okay, which one is the most fuckable? Okay. That was the type. Then he brought the secretaries and the women in the office in and showed a bunch of audition tapes of men. And then he went, okay, which one's the most fuckable? And the girls and the women would say this guy, and the guys would say this girl. Then you go, okay, let's take a look at their audition tapes and blah, blah, blah. And so that's how stuff was done. It was really simple. People want to see attractive individuals. It's like, it's just so outrageously dumb how complex they've made this. And then they
like Madam Savvy said, where are the titties?
Yeah, where are the titties?
Booba. Bring back the booba.
Well, Paul, I like your scale. I guess what you're saying is the Rings of Power is not fuckable.
Correct. And that's no one is. Isildur is a panty waist. Like, you know what? I mean, if he came out, dated my daughter, I'd say, fuck off, go home.
The one hot chick left, and then they mention her being killed off in a line.
Yes.
What are we going to do?
And so I have a problem where none of the characters are interesting. Like, there's just simple rules in TV. You are inviting your friends into your living room. Do you want to join them? Do you want them in your living room? It's one of the reasons why people talk about, Murphy Brown, the lead actress, I can't remember her name.
Candice Bergman.
Is a terrible actress, but she's good on TV. Like, because you don't mind her in your living room doing her stupid shtick.
I don't want him in my neighborhood.
You want her or don't?
I don't want them in my neighborhood, let alone.
Oh my God. Yes. I mean, that would set the pro-Palestinian protesters after them. I mean, like it's
I guess for me, the thing I can't wrap my mind around is
it's so simple.
Galadriel was seduced by the Lord of Darkness, right? Why are they still letting her do things?
Yes.
Right? Like,
here's a ring.
On a very simple level, why are they still letting her do things after she was seduced by the Lord of Darkness?
I have no idea. Like,
yeah.
The thing is, in the story, she wasn't, but like, why bother? I mean, Anatar is the most interesting character. I want him to kill everybody.
I want Sauron to win. The way they described it. So, right, as they've shown it, Sauron is the victim. He's trying to unite everyone.
Of course he is. Of course he is. He's the sympathetic villain.
There's no good or evil. There's only power and dynamics. Oppressor versus oppressed.
I'm rooting for the unionized orcs.
Yes. They just want to start a family, Paul, and have a living wage.
That's all they want.
Cost of living in Mordor is too high. And it's these Galadriel-onomics.
Do you know what a mud hut costs these days?
It's imported mud. It's very good. Yeah.
It's like Gavin Newsom's running that place.
Yeah. So how hard is it to have an audition and hire people that are sexy and hot and interesting? Like,
well, it's a little hard because they end up going on to OnlyFans because it's a faster rise to fame and fortune than it is acting.
I can't see Mighty Morphid Clark on OnlyFans.
I'll give you some insight here from the official Rings of Power account on Prime. Okay, we ship them.
Uh-huh.
And to that I say, this show is a piece of ship.
Yeah.
Tell me you didn't watch to the
ship
end
them
of the
off the
episode.
planet.
I
Stop
mean,
telling me you didn't watch to the end of the episode.
it's when this is leaked into mainstream storytelling for big franchises, the concept of shipping, which is a fringe idea coming from people in the fandom, that this is an obsession to what characters in something fiction we want to see bang. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous and juvenile. Not that, as I sit here in a room surrounded by a bunch of collectible shit, I say those words, but I mean, the shipping concept is not, it's a fringe group of, people who are into fanfic that are
Kylo
into
and
this
Rey.
stuff. It doesn't,
Acolyte, May and Chimere.
it's
or
the
OSHA.
point of a ship is it's not necessarily organic, but we want to see them together.
I see.
See, if they were smart, they would fridge her instead.
Yes.
What's that?
Based Alan.
What's that?
You don't know what fridging
Fridging?
is? Oh, now explain it.
Well,
You don't know about fridging?
No.
kind of know what it is, but
It's a comic book concept.
right.
Happened to
Green
help.
Lantern
Oh,
lines
the
of-
You're gonna
Kyle
kill her
Rayner.
to motivate the hero.
Yep.
I loved how the tiny girl, after the two heavy guys sunk into the mud, stuck a stick in the ground into the soup,
She tried.
expecting like someone to grab hold of it and do it. Now, I was an official lifeguard. What you do is lie on the ground at a 45-degree angle, roll up a towel, and throw it into the water. That's how you do proper. That's how you properly deal with someone who's drowning. She didn't even follow the rules.
Remind me again how much this show costs.
Too much.
On aggregate, I mean,
More than the Acolyte, and
oh yeah,
truthfully, I think the money is
Whoa,
on
more than the
screen.
Acolyte?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
The Acolyte was $600,000 a minute when they broke it down to like per time or something.
It does look like it looks like they spent money, whereas the Acolyte looks like they
Squandered it.
pocketed the money.
Which
Yeah.
means it's going to cost us more to get free shipping at Amazon now.
Well, the other part too is Amazon's already allotted the budget for 5 seasons. Now that could take, another 7 years before they complete that because of the turnaround time between seasons where they have to
Right.
rewrite what they initially planned to accommodate the audience's complaints.
But
I
are
don't
they
think it's gonna
contractually
go.
obligated to the budget? That's
I don't
Okay,
think
so
it's
my
gonna go.
question is, okay, Script, you said that they have like what, 5 more seasons or something crazy like that?
Well, they signed for 5 seasons, so I guess
It's
they
not
have
going to
3
go.
more
I
out.
think it's going to be
Okay,
at the end of this.
So
We're done.
my question is there any penalty? Is there any drawback from them if they just cut it off now?
Depending on the terms of the contract, they could be out some money, but I don't know what those details are.
Yeah, because
But would that amount be more than what they're losing?
No, because there'd be still people watching it and they'd be able to gain something out of that. So it'd be mitigating their losses if they were to produce something and release it. It's the same sort of deal that happened with Star Trek Discovery and their Netflix deal. They were secured for 5 seasons. If they canceled it, they'd be like, well, we then lost all the money that was part of that deal, and we can't make up for that or reduce that loss by showing out more shows. Because you even when you get diminishing returns in viewers, you're still able to make something off of that. It's not going to put you in the black, but it's definitely going to reduce the amount of red that you're in.
It would work if
My
they
mom
were a
just texted me,
syndication.
rest in peace,
wait.
James Earl Jones.
People are saying,
It is
"Oh
true.
my god,
Oh
no.
no!
Lori
What?
put a link in the private. He has
Wow.
passed away.
wow,
Oh.
my god." Sifax,
Just happened.
thanks for letting us know. R.I.P. James Earl Jones. Wow,
Wait, what?
Lori has the deadline
he
article in the
passed
private.
away.
Yep, confirmed by
And-
Deadline.
Yeah,
Uh,
there we go.
His
Oh,
contribution
no.
to Star Wars is underestimated, and also Mufasa in Lion King. My God, I used to when my son, I would always say, "You're my son and the one true king." I try to do James Earl Jones.
Hey, the Sandlot. He plays a
yeah, I
great
was
character
about
in
to
the
say,
Sandlot.
Doctor
Yeah.
Strangelove. You know?
Field
Oh,
of Dreams. Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
He's
yeah,
so
yeah.
great in that.
Yeah.
As the author that was being censored, right? Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Hunt
Wow.
for Red October. He's great in that too.
Well,
Yeah.
gentlemen, he was 93.
He
Good
lived-
long
he lived a
life.
great
That's-
life.
So
Take it too soon. What are you talking about? Take it too soon, Paul. No, seriously. Begin the rewatch. Oh my God, Conan.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, he's so good. And
yes.
Conan turns into a snake.
Yes.
Oh,
well, I know what I'm watching tonight.
Yeah. And Coming to America.
God, Conan.
Yeah, Coming to America. My son, do you not sleep with your bathing girls or whatever? Yeah. Man.
Well, that's really sad. Thank you for letting us know. But man, what a talent.
Thank God. I never knew his political opinions. He never attacked me for my skin color. I have nothing but good memories of him and good movies to remind us of him.
He was such a big part of Field of Dreams. Mm-hmm. That movie was, I mean, so good in that. God.
That's the kind of Hollywood movie I can't see them making anymore.
Yes. And there's that great speech at the PTA meeting about censorship. You should just watch that speech in isolation. It's so good. And they're talking about him. They're talking about his work, his book. I mean, it's a fictional author, fictional book, whatever. But the conversation is about free speech. And it's brilliant. Maybe you can find that, Alan. We can watch that.
I'd be interested to see how the world accepted Field of Dreams, because that was a really American movie. Like as a Canadian, when I was watching it, I'm going, okay, I have nothing that I can relate to in this movie. But I love
but you're Canadian. I would say I think there's a lot of people. I think Russell Crowe was talking about this too, how people look at America and some of these other countries, they just like seeing depictions of American culture, even if it's an idealized version.
Yeah. Which is why I like Main Street USA and Disney World, and why they're fucking with it unnecessarily, because it's neat as a foreigner to see America's vision of itself.
I found the book banning scene. There's I look up Field of Dreams, letter S, and all this stuff comes up. Speech, the speech about baseball that James Earl Jones delivers. He's not in this scene, but this is the book banning scene from the PTA in Field of Dreams. It's 3 minutes, but let's watch some of it because it's so good. This movie, I like you said, Paul, you cannot make this movie today.
No. Pretty relevant too.
And I say smut and filth like this has no place in our schools.
Fascist. I'd like
white bitch.
Mrs. Kessinek, that book you're waving about is hardly smut. It is considered by many critics to be the classic novel about the 1960s.
It's pornography.
No. The Supreme Court says it's not. And its author, Mr. Mann,
is sick.
Terrence Mann is a Pulitzer Prize winner, and he is widely regarded as the finest satirist of his time.
Yeah, well, I think he's a pervert. Probably a communist, too.
A lot of familiar talking points here.
The so-called novels of Terrence Mann endorse promiscuity, godlessness, the mongrelization of the races, and disrespect to high-ranking officers of the United States Army.
That sounds like a description on the leaf.
All across the country have been banning this man's SHIT since 1969.
69.
Madam? Excuse me. Terrence Mann was a warm and gentle voice of reason during a time of great madness. He coined the phrase, make love, not war. While other people were chanting, burn, baby, burn, he was talking about love and peace and understanding. I cherished every one of his books, and I dearly wish he had written some more. And I think if you had experienced even a little bit of the 60s, you might feel the same way, too.
I experienced the 60s.
No, I think you had 2 50s and moved right on into the 70s.
Annie, look at this.
Oh, yeah? Well, your husband plowed under his corn and built a baseball field.
Ooh.
Now, there's an intelligent response.
The weirdo.
You get the idea. It's it's such a And now I want to watch it, but
Yeah, I do too.
yeah, wow. Yeah, that it's weird how many movies from our recent past could not be made because of that scene.
Well, it's not necessarily because of that scene. It's because the studios and execs at now, the ones that write the checks, they don't see any value in movies like that. That's primarily it. There's movies that are being written that cover this type of stuff frequently. And just nobody wants to invest in it because they feel it's not marketable.
Right.
It's not going to play in Ecuador.
Won't play in Russia.
Yeah, that's a
Or
big
China.
need those rubles.
Well, because movies are so dependent on global.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
They can't make a movie only for America because it now goes global. That means the perceived values of people around the globe are the things that must be respected instead of American values, which people in other countries aspire to have.
Well, and part of the problem is right now, a lot of Americans don't like American values and are fighting against it.
Oh, I can give you proof. I walk 5
It's
miles
tiresome.
a day.
What
in
kind
my
of American
neighborhood.
are you?
I walk 5 miles, just a walk. That's my exercise in the morning, right? And I'll wear a hat that just says America. I have shorts on right now that is an American flag. And I'll walk around with like an America shirt or hat, shorts, whatever. And I get people that won't make eye contact and do not say good morning. People I see every day, they lock eyes away from me. It's
crazy how in a couple of days it'll be 9/11 anniversary. Remember when everyone had American flags on their cars?
Yeah.
It had lasted not that long, but still.
On Wednesday. I mean, it's very sad.
And
By the way,
this
Vinny,
is
the number 3 movie this weekend was Reagan.
number 3.
Yep.
I didn't know it did that well.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
beat
know
out
if any of
Alien
you have seen-
Romulus in number 4.
Wow. Well, low bar probably.
Yeah.
Wow, that is people. It shows people hunger for a movie like that.
Yeah.
Well, what's really interesting is the fact that we have this debate tomorrow, and then 9/11 is the very next day.
Mm-hmm. It's
It might
patriotism,
be,
but they
it might
think it's
be Kamala's
nationalism.
9/11.
the Reagan movie, I mentioned this
Joke.
on Midnight's Edge this morning, is that it reminds me of the Crocodile Dundee effect, is that Hollywood does not target the 50-year-old male. Crocodile Dundee brought my dad to the movies when he hadn't seen a movie in 20 years. And he would come home, and every day for the next 20 years, he'd go, "That's not enough. This is enough." and Reagan reminds me of that. It's targeted towards an audience. Hollywood is no interest in targeting, does not believe it exists. And that's why you're seeing it succeed.
They don't want to come to terms with the fact that that audience is the one that actually has an income. And the audience that's currently supposed to replace it is literally working in a gig economy.
Star Wars learned that real good, didn't they? Unfortunately, they replaced everyone that spent money on toys.
But it's not even just the money. It's the fact that just kids aren't consuming movies like that generation did, like our generation did.
Yeah, they're not doing.
So even if they had the money, they're spending it somewhere else.
Yeah.
On the taxi service. What's that called? The online taxi service.
My niece and nephew are doing stuff, but it's like Five Nights at Freddy's or old stuff that we like because we got them into it. Shocking how that works. And all the new stuff, they don't care. No one cares about that.
This is one of those quick news stories that's written up. But anyways,
by the way, according to IMDb, he's only been in 190 movies.
Oh, that's
and
it?
television shows.
Slacker.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a legend, man. He was a legend.
Back to Rings of Power. It doesn't matter what. He
wants to finish off the top.
R.I.P.
Sorry. Okay.
Rings of Power.
That's all right. Yeah.
Good thing about this, James doesn't have to watch any Rings of Power. He's saved, and we're still stuck here in the reality of Rings of Power. He's free of this nonsense.
I mean, look, I only saw the first 2 episodes of this new season, so I don't really know where they're going with this. I just don't understand how there could be more seasons after this, considering just from what I saw.
3 more.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
Yeah,
and they've already lowered the amount of money they get. But yeah, that was the original thing that they were saying. 5 years planned, and they can't double down. Like they can't back out, can they?
No, but they could drastically drop the budget.
Yeah, an episode count.
A lot of money on this thing.
Well, and they lost half their audience from the first season, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to kill it after this season. That's my prediction.
Yeah, is this going to be like what we said about the Acolyte? There's no way they're going to cancel it, but they had to.
Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah, I don't see any other choice but to cancel it after this because they lost half their audience already.
And it was already an anemic audience, like only 37% finished the damn thing.
The other part too is, do you think that the ones that'll be defending the show internally are going to say, well, we lost half the audience because we took a year off in between the first and second season. We have to build that back, and you got to stay the course. Like they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep.
They're all bigots. Script, does that work? If you say, what the hell, you lost half your audience? Well, it wasn't my writing or my characters. They're all racist bigots, and Trump.
Yeah, that works all the time, Badger.
Yeah, that works every time.
But how long does that excuse work for?
Yeah, all the racists and bigots stopped watching the show.
Here's my shorts I got on right now.
Well, at least you have them on.
But you know what? I don't understand. These people don't understand. The bigots are the ones watching the show.
They're the ones making it.
We're the ones watching it.
The bigots. The zealots that their ideology is they're so bigoted about it that they can't even write interesting characters. Everything fall in line with their.
Well, here's the thing that struck me is because Paul, I watched you cover it. I watched Dante, others like. If there's a lack of interest, there's a why am I watching it? What's the purpose of the show? And many YouTubers have said, I'm just not going to cover it. It's not even worth covering. Not like the Acolyte, which was a whole debacle. And we will never cover the Acolyte again. Right, Alan?
Oh, yeah. Today will be the last time we talk about it.
I refuse to cover season 2 of The Acolyte. I refuse.
I'm with you, Paul. I agree. I make that oath to you.
Sure.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, the Acolyte is like herpes, man. It just won't go away. It won't go away. You want it to leave, and it just won't, man. There is no cream to put on this Acolyte itch, man.
Embrace it. I want Kathy to greenlight it. I want her to have her magnum opus that she can finally retire and be happy with.
The fun thing is that it keeps going in the sense that there were the Star Wars, I can't remember which group, Excelsior or whatever, that went after.
Oh, Explain. Star Wars Explain.
Went after Nerdrotic.
Excelsior is a better name.
Geeks and Gamers,
Alex and Molly Damon, and Kyle Katarn, and that.
Star Wars Theory.
You know what?
Made a great video about it.
For me as a comedian that also does meta commentary on the platform that we're on, I just did a video today that is done very well on how come they didn't pick me? How come they're not going after me? Like I'm really insulted. Like,
well, I would say the fact of the matter that these groups going with almost zero internet and influence presence on the internet is going after them is really pathetic.
Yeah,
Star Wars.
It's like you don't have any power at all.
But they didn't come after me. Like I'm really annoyed.
The outrage, but they're not the Elon Musk. They're these nobodies. There's was that was it rewriting Ripley? They popped up in 2021, then disappeared until recently. And it's like you have no power. You're going after them? Good luck. Like nobody cares.
They're just
If
jealous.
anything, you're going to boost their channel because they're going to monetize your.
Thank you, Kino.
It's jealousy and clout chasing. That's what Star Wars Theory's video was all about. That Star Wars explained for the past. He had like 8 years worth of receipts. That's all they've ever cared about is. And the best thing that actually resonated with me as a content creator is because I've seen the same pattern that he was talking about. It's like people want to see you do good. People want to see you do really good, but people don't want to see you do better than them. And that's the biggest thing is these type of people don't want to see you do better than them.
That video that Star Wars Theory did yesterday was amazing.
Fire, that was eye-opening and
bringing
also,
people together.
By the way, I know people like that. Back in the day with Film Threat, I had people come after me. It was so bringing back. It's like PTSD watching his video. It's like, I remember now that people would come after me, but pretend to be friendly. That sort of fake, like, oh, we love what you're doing. And
How'd
then
you do that?
What'd
you do?
So,
I followed you for so long, and now
how'd you get on that show?
Weird. I've had that happen to me with Film Threat, like back in the day. I don't know. I love
I
seeing
read your
the
stuff for
success
so
of.
long, and now
I love Chinese food, and then Alan, you ruined it for me.
no, P.F.
But
Chang's ruined it for you.
But the thing is, like with people getting like just like checked out of Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Let's look at the ratings. Alan has an article with the ratings. Let's take a look and see where they are.
While he's searching for it, I've decided that I will watch the very last episode and guess what happened earlier.
Ooh, that's a bold
You can
strategy,
watch
Cotton.
the wrap up, right? The sort of like get you
I'm
caught
going to
up.
watch the last one without watching any more. And just sort of,
that's interesting.
I'm not going to watch any more. I'm just going to watch the last one. I'm going to guess the previous occurrences and have
write a
fun.
better
What
story.
Happened in the Interim by Paul Chatto.
I
you'll
bet you would
better
write a better story. Don't you think?
We end up doing it,
Oh,
right? We end up
right,
writing better
default.
ones.
I think so. Actually, you know what I'm enjoying right now, just to be positive about something, is the 4th season of Only Murders in the Building.
Me
I
too.
just wanted to say something positive.
Oh God, it's so good.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Is that Martin Short and
Yeah.
Martin Short, Steve Martin,
Steve Martin.
Selena
Martin.
Gomez, and Jane Lynch being
Dead.
like
Jane
the
Lynch.
best part of like giving off the good types of performances people loved her for. Again,
cool.
If you would read this,
Yeah.
what's the headline?
First of
Alan?
all, I just want to point out that this is Variety talking about the ratings for Rings of Power, and look at the image Variety used.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
The Lady
Ah.
Galadriel.
That's hilarious. It's Galadriel from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Okay, so let me grab the actual article here. But yeah, this is from Luminate. Now it is number 2 in the ratings, but it's 706 million minutes viewed compared to I believe the first season it was millions of views.
And it's under original, right?
Yeah, under original. So it's fallen less than half of it. And
last season, so it's less than half.
Yeah, less than half. And yeah, people are watching the first season to, I guess, catch up. But Worst X Ever is doing better than Rings of Power on streaming. Just shows you movies, TV and movies are in the same position. No one's watching it.
Yeah, and even Samba ratings are just as bad. Like it goes, no matter how you look, it's sort of the same downward trajectory.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't know much about the Tolkien lore. I know the movies, and I'm totally lost on the show. I don't understand these characters or the significance. And at the same time, people who do know the lore and understand the significance, this movie is putting them off. And so it is just continually losing people who are passively interested and losing people who are deep into the lore. And you have this small group of people who just like pretty images and people dressed as elves to watch the show. And it's basically the acolyte effect going on here.
It's annoying that they screw up so many tiny things. I mean, again, I could put my cynical network executive hat on and just I could create something that's absolutely non-canon at all, but probably something that people will watch. Like the people who are into it will hate it, but I'll make something that people will watch because I'm a whore.
If this had great action scenes and like Booba and cool dudes and people doing things, it would get so much more of a pass. Like the Shadows of Mordor games, I'm pretty sure they break lore, but they're so good. And Celebrimbor.
Well, even the Peter Jackson's movie broke lore.
Yes, right. Where was exactly, Paul?
And let's be real, that Peter Jackson didn't have boobs in it either.
But wait a sec.
I'm just being selfish.
Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies did break lore and wasn't perfect, but he got the characters right.
Yeah,
You fell in love with Frodo and Gandalf and that relationship, and the
Well, and he understood Tolkien too.
Yeah.
Yes,
He got the heart
was
of
the
it.
spirit of Tolkien, and he was respectful. You can't take all the events of that book and make it into a series of movies. It's just
too dense.
Nearly impossible.
Yeah.
What he did was a huge achievement. But
Well,
the
I'm sure he'll do the
spirit
same
of the
thing with
characters.
the Hunt for Gollum. They're all coming back.
Right. So are we surprised by this? And I'm surprised at the because Rings of Power season 1, everyone talked about it, watched every episode, and took it through to the end. But the fact that Paul is out, other YouTubers are out.
Mm-hmm.
Alan
Ing, I didn't even start on season 2. Like, that's how out.
Oh, you're missing, dude.
By the way, I
James
saw
is
episode 4 before this show, and I fell asleep.
You know what's tragic is that you see some of the promo ads for this. You see some of the stills and the clips that they use, and it's like they have this imagination of what a soap opera is, but have never watched a soap opera and are just applying that to Rings of Power as a production.
Dialogue too. It sounds like kids that watch the first movie and they try and make them say the same kind of things. And yeah, they basically confirmed it was Gandalf, the stranger. They call him Mithrandir.
Oh, really?
I would prefer it to be a soap opera along the lines of the guy who does Yellowstone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Alan, you really did fall asleep. Yeah.
This
Sorry.
is more like the Days of the Week's SCTV soap opera. Like
Yeah, I mean, and you know, and listen, we all understand the concept of these things are happy and happy and horrible accidents all at the same time. Like, there's no formula to make this successful. You are lucky if it works. That's
right.
And so I feel badly for the amount of effort that people are putting in. I mean, again, one of the amazing accidents of Lord of the Rings was Viggo Mortensen taking you know, and somebody else was supposed to be doing that role. And when I saw the footage of his auditions, and he was terrible, and another British actor, and Viggo stepped in. I can't remember what the circumstances were, but I cannot think of Lord of the Rings without Viggo Mortensen. And in many ways, he's the heart and soul of Lord of the Rings. It does not work without his performance.
Pete Townsend. That's right. Sorry, chat is always correct. Pete Townsend was the other actor.
Oh,
for Aragorn.
Yeah, was it Pete Townsend?
Yeah, because I remember just reading something about this the other day. Yeah, and Aragorn took on.
I don't think it was Pete Townsend from The Who. What? Who was it?
It was someone. Anyway, so the thing is, you know, we look at these things dispassionately in the distance without really understanding, you know, the accidents that were required to bring it to life. And what makes these things, you know, important to us? Aragorn. I mean, the first scene in the tavern. I mean, it was just—he's heroic. He's a man. It's just fantastic.
Stuart Townsend.
Stuart Townsend. There you go. And I saw his audition. It was terrible. And he bowed out. I think he quit in a huff. Is what I understand.
Well,
so. You know, would the movie have been as good with him? No,
says he skipped on his training sessions and he was arguing with some of the other cast members. And so, yeah, seems we made the right decision with Aragorn.
We're going to get to super chats soon, but is this true? Derek Bowen, Shang-Chi director, is doing Spider-Man 4. The Hollywood Reporter just announced it.
Dustin Daniel Cretton is doing it?
Interesting.
Is that real?
That's not good news.
As long as they don't have Dave Callahan writing it, it's got a shot, because Dave Callahan wrote Shang-Chi and that was atrocious.
Yes. It was.
I'll admit I watched Shang-Chi this weekend.
Why?
Because I like the movie.
Hang on, I found it.
The dad is
it's up here now. It's
Destin Daniel
Cretton
Yep.
is doing what a spider can. Huh? Got it? Well, the filmmaker has been signed to direct Spider-Man 4, and Tom Holland will be back under the mask for Marvel-Sony collaboration.
Oh, this has to be the last one. They'll introduce Miles Morales, and we'll never see Peter Parker again.
Yeah.
Well, which is weird because Tom Holland is signed for 3 more Spider-Man feature films and 3 other appearances in Marvel movies.
Like separate from an appearance in the Secret Wars?
It's 6 in total.
Huh?
Well, he's not growing any taller.
That's and he's only
bigger.
now starting to look like an adult male. So
the Timothy Chalamet thing going on there.
Yeah. Well,
he's not as tweaky as Timothy, but yes, it's definitely close.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi was not horribly directed. The worst part was the scaffolding scene with all the digital ninjas. That I went, holy crap, this was.
Yeah. But I will say, Shang-Chi got the culture right. I mean, when I watched it, it was like, wow, this feels very familiar to me.
I don't know many valets that can afford an overnight trip to China in first class.
It's a Marvel movie.
He maxed out his cards.
And
Well,
they,
you know
they
what?
did rip off.
If the rumors are true and Sydney Sweeney's playing Black Cat, I'm in.
Yep.
Oh,
Let's
Well, I'll say
introduce her.
this.
that's
Well,
for
that's
real.
fan casting, but
I mean, the
I
thing
mean,
is,
it's a rumor, but
That's
It-
fan
it-
casting. That's
that's-
fan casting. I mean,
it's
I
fan
want that
casting.
to happen, but it's
It
fan
works
casting.
no,
sometimes.
I don't want it to happen because Disney has ruined every attractive female star they've worked with since Bob Iger took over, and I don't want Sydney Sweeney to be ruined by Disney.
you might be right about that.
Yeah,
That would
it
be
needs to be
impressive.
a Sony one or standalone.
Well,
Here's the thing: if you could somehow make Felicia Hardy unsexy, you got talent.
I was gonna say that would be impressive.
You got
John
skill to
David,
make
do
her
that.
unsexy.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll say this about Shang-Chi. It's not a terrible movie.
No.
The
dad
weaknesses
is great.
are the script, and I'm
and
sorry to
Aquafina.
say, Simu Liu he's a weak choice. What I'm saying is the directing wasn't the reason.
I'll
the movie
give you
failed.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
well, it
I'll
wasn't
also
the
say
direct-
that Shang-Chi is, aside from the Spider-Mans, Shang-Chi is the best of Phase 4.
It's
Okay.
I
probably
would-
It's a
the
low
upper
bar,
echelon.
man.
That's
It's a
a
low
would
bar.
agree.
I've actually
You're right.
worked with
You're right,
Simu
Dante.
Liu, and I know
Low
he
bar.
can perform better, but I just don't think he had the script to work with. And I also think Destin Daniel Creighton probably didn't talk to him enough to get what the role was. Because I've actually seen him do some really good stuff, not just on Convenience, but I remember I've worked with him on some short films that he did before he got that role. I've had friends that have worked on him on proof of concepts and pilots and whatnot. I've seen him actually be able to act. I was really excited when he got the role. And then when he started doing this press circuit and saying dumb stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
geez.
It went
you
to his
just-
head.
Once he got woke
pretty much.
training,
And there's also something to be said for failure or semi-failure in that those big movies, only a handful of people can actually do them. So even if you've, let's say, failed at one to some degree, not a Patty Jenkins level failure, but then the studio's going, well, how many other people have manned an effort of this complexity? Only a handful of people, and he's one of them. So you don't mind putting your trust in him rather than a complete newbie, because you're hoping that he's now going to go to the next level.
Yes, Alan is directing Spider-Man 4.
The other part too, this is also under a slightly different Marvel than what was Phase 4. There's no Victoria Alonso. Some of the activist writers and producers are gone.
Course corrected MCU.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to know who is the screenwriter for Spider-Man 4, because that is going to determine whether or not the odds are in the favor of it being success or not.
Yeah.
Precisely. We will get to all your super chats momentarily.
I'm also curious about who the villain's going to be, but
right. Also, if there are any other celebrities passing away or any movie news, please comment.
Because
and
it's
we
in
will get
threes,
to it.
right?
This is
Yeah.
we don't see a lot of news while we're doing this, but something script and Paul, you are script. You have been going to TIFF.
Yes, it's playing right now until the 11th. And I actually just came there this morning, and I was at a very cool event that was going to be done at David Picotte Square because they had all fenced it off. But unfortunately, we got rained out. So that's why I'm here to be able to talk to you guys about it. But yeah, it's a very different, it's a lot of high energy, but it's a different frequency, to put it that way, because a lot of the film market buyers aren't here yet. And they usually are here from the start of TIFF all the way through the end to try and buy some of the things that are showing at the festival, and also make deals for pre-sales of movies for independents and some studios as well. They're not here, and you can kind of feel it. And I think that has to do, I mean, the rumor is that it's because we had the double strikes last year and people are kind of apprehensive. But I actually think it has more to do with the fact that studios are kind of catching on that they don't really want to buy a whole lot of outside films in indie films right now.
Well, just to let people know, the Toronto International Film Festival is one of the largest fests in the world. I used to attend when I lived in Michigan. I would take the train from Windsor and go to Toronto for the weekend. It has become the backdoor market, like Sundance. Buyers go there to buy films. It's also a launching pad for many movies that go on to win Oscars. Dune premiered at TIFF. So a lot of it's an important film festival in the global market of movies that need help, but it's a lot of these fests now. I'm getting a lot of press releases. I'm seeing something that's going to be on Hulu in 2 weeks premiering at TIFF.
Yep.
Which seems kind of sad to me, but
Well,
this thing
I can share with you the history of that because I know when that happened. That happened.
It happens at Sundance too, so this isn't new.
No, it's not new. It's almost been 20 years that they've been doing this, where TIFF is now no longer a place to showcase international films and even independent films. It's actually now just kind of a showcase for stuff that's hitting the theaters, or in this case, streaming services.
Right.
And it's really just to generate more income so that people can actually start buying tickets to the festival, because these festivals, as big as they were, when it came to their traffic, it was mostly cinephiles that came in and not your regular people. When TIFF shifted over, and same with Sundance and even Raindance and South by Southwest, when they started shifting over to having a bit more studio familiarity of style of films, that's when the broader audience was come in, because you'd be like, well, this is coming out in 3 months. I would like to be the first one to see it so I can recommend it to my friends. And that was the market that they did. And unfortunately, it's kind of, it's squeezed out a lot of potential new great talent, because they used to have these exclusivities where if you are a Toronto filmmaker or a Canadian filmmaker and you wanted your film to be a world premiere at TIFF, it was almost guaranteed a slot. And then as soon as they shifted gears, no longer the case.
Oh, that's gone now.
Yes, 100%. Even though they still advertise it, I know some of the operators of TIFF, they say they don't acknowledge it because they need to reserve that theater for something that will most likely sell out.
Well, that's unfair.
And the same thing goes with Con. They have the same issue going on there with Con. And also the panelists that they select for bringing in their foreign market films, they are mostly dependent on the United States stuff. I mean, Amy Adams has a movie called Night Bitch that already premiered there. It got mixed reviews, but it was a sold out theater and got a lot of press, and TIFF was very happy with that.
Did she get a standing ovation?
Actually, I just talked about kind of mixed, because I saw Chris's thing about standing ovations and how useless they have become at film festivals because everybody does them so much. In fact, the movie that I saw this morning had a brief one, but it was only like 30 seconds because we wanted to get to the Q&A.
But from going to festivals, they overreact. There's a movie you'll see at a festival that's a very mid indie movie that people go crazy for. Then you see it on, whatever streaming, go, why were we wild for this film? Apparently, Alan found another celebrity death, which we will get to in a minute. But I wanted to, since this is from TIFF right here, I'm going to show this clip. It's from X here, and Variety's X account. It's just a short clip of Julie Delpy says she's tested Chat-GBT in the process of writing screenplays. And here's what she has to say, Alan. If you
Make sure your volume's up.
Yeah.
One of the things that everyone's talking about is AI, and obviously the actors is almost right. In large part because of that issue. What are your thoughts on the technology, and do you think that it can threaten
Well, I've used AI. I tested Chat-GBT for making up screenplays. And for now, it always revolves around the same thing. It's very moral. It's very politically correct. It's very predictable in a way, and I find, obviously, because it's just AI, it doesn't have the complexity of a human mind yet. And it's kind of it might be dangerous for a certain kind of films that are very predictable, but I think it will never really completely replace like true original ideas.
One of the things that everyone's talking about is
Yep, that was it.
Yep.
It's on this scripts you're here, Paul. AI. We've talked about AI a lot on this show.
I've tested it on a script.
Yep. So have I. It's
Is she wrong?
She's not wrong. It's very predictable, very boring, very derivative. In fact, oddly enough, I even did a comparison with regards to Madam Web, where I swore one of the scenes was written by AI, and I put in the same parameters and got nearly a word-for-word recreation of it on Chat-GBT.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
You are kidding. That's crazy.
So where it works is if you want to shortcut research on something that you know little to nothing about. So if you go write a script about U-boat sailors where the boat is running out of diesel and they've got to ditch it on some island somewhere or something, and you can mention the specific model of that U-boat, and it will write a historically accurate, fairly detailed description of the boat and provide a kind of research verisimilitude that would take way more research to do otherwise. So you can pull that knowledge out. It's more like Google search. You can use it like an Uber Google search, and it will write it'll pull all these different sources. So you're not searching through 100 sources to find the right U-boat and blah, blah, blah. So
it's also better than Grammarly right now. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, better than Grammarly. That's okay.
So that's
useful.
Not a huge bar to cross. But to Paul's point, it is actually far better useful as like a more advanced Google search than it is to actually write content. And the best part is you can instruct it to provide you the sources, and you can click on those sources and verify if it's telling you the truth or not. And it's quite useful in that regard. But I've said this for the last year and a half. It will never replace human ingenuity and creativity when it comes to storytelling.
Well, I did try once where I said Gollum and Bilbo become friends. Write a 2-page script.
Oh no.
And it wrote it, and I went, oh, this actually isn't too bad. They were conversing with each other on some grassy knoll, and then at the very end, Bilbo asked him, will you be my friend? And Gollum said, only if you give me the ring back. The script, the AI script actually wrote that. I went, so nothing it wrote was outside of what has already been written. It just sort of rearranged the deck chairs on the Titanic.
It's a randomizer. It's a randomizer. Like when you design a character in a video game, you can spend forever designing eyebrows and haircut and cheekbones and all that stuff. Or you can just randomize. That one's fine. I'll go with that.
But I'm really impressed with what it did.
It's going to get better, but as Script said, it's just like in Star Wars or Star Trek, really, where they have the replicator, but people still go to like Neelix or Cisco's dad's restaurant for real food. You won't get rid of the human made, even if they do decent work at one point.
The concern is that the audience won't care.
Right.
That's the problem.
Because standards will lower to a point where they'll just accept generic, and then they'll be able to make it and with the Sora stuff, and it'll look and be generic, and that's what we'll all just watch.
It's
then we deserve our fate.
Conditioning, and it'd be a detriment to society if that ended up being the dominating factor.
Yeah.
Well, Alan actually has a story that is breaking now about
yes.
He seems very excited.
I am excited. So yeah, it happens. Deaths happen in 3. Well, this one's getting close. Harvey Weinstein rushed to the hospital for heart surgery.
Oh,
it's not a death.
Well, we're just a step away. I mean, really.
Right.
He doesn't look healthy.
He does.
He looks like he's on Ozempic.
He looks bad.
Every celebrity is on Ozempic now. And have you read the stories about this drug, how horrible it is?
It removes actual bone mass and muscle mass that you really need as opposed to the fat. So you have to do like heavy weightlifting or you get like serious negative side effects from that drug.
Yeah, I've only heard horrible stuff. It sounds just awful.
Eat less than 2,000 calories a day and work out a little bit. It's not that hard.
I know it's hard, but some vegetables and exercise, you'll get there.
You'll get there.
You'll get there.
Yeah, where did he get a heart? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my God.
The wizard.
So, do you think he might? I mean, he is old. He's been under a lot of stress.
How old is he now?
Dark side will fulfill him. He'll live forever.
Yeah.
That's how that works. The good ones die young.
Not a young guy.
Demons live forever.
Dante has been a big supporter of Harvey Weinstein.
That is untrue, sir. I had a drink with the guy once.
I think it's like 71 or 72.
All I said was the man was a good producer. That's it.
Yeah.
Well,
terrible person. Terrible person.
You didn't say he was God. That was Meryl Streep.
That was Meryl Streep who called him God.
And I have said, does genius require bad people?
Seems that way.
I hate to say, the people I have met, the few people I met, I consider geniuses, like just brilliantly talented beyond all measure, have all been horrible behind the scenes.
Miramax gave us Tarantino.
What's that?
Miramax gave us Tarantino. They took a risk on Tarantino.
They gave us a lot of people, man.
My God.
Again, the man was good at his job. That's all I'm saying. He was good at his job. Terrible person.
Came out of Miramax. Rounders came out of Miramax.
Yeah, Leslie Headland. Thank God she was there.
Woo!
Right there.
That's a.
I mean, she only worked for him for a year. So,
Badger, you beat me.
Let's go to this final news story before we get to supers. Alan, this story here: flaws in the guild's success-based residuals are clear. We've had a sea change in the industry recently for a number of reasons.
Success-based, like meritocracy?
Yep.
Correct.
Whoa.
This is from Variety, from Variety Plus.
That's right. You get one free look every day. So this
here we go, Alan.
Use it wisely.
I've kept it inside the whole article, but when
just give us a taste of this.
Yeah, let me see. So we'll just go down here. It's just showing that what series have earned the residual bonuses, and we're looking at Fallout Season 1. Ted didn't. Knuckles from Paramount did. Bridgerton Season 3 Part 1, and The Bear 3 barely made it to its residuals. It's just saying that the numbers of shows have been small to reach that bonus. And then they point out mostly The Bear here that just barely made it.
Yeah. Now, this is a residual bonus on top of the normal deal that these writers sign. So they're still getting residuals, but if you cross a threshold, you get an incentive bonus for having a better show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it seems like, I don't believe they mentioned anything else other than that having crossed that line this year.
Well, Fallout made it, huh?
Fallout made it, yep.
And they got people playing the games. They got people playing the games, which is the most, like, unlike the Halo game, which actively upset everyone, and no one was playing the Halo game because of that show. People played the Fallout games.
Yeah. So Fallout was the most successful. Bridgerton comes in second, and then let's see, looks like Knuckles and The Bear come in third and fourth.
The Bear just cleaned up too with Emmys.
But season 3 was like really bad.
Maybe they were like sort of awarding it for past things, you know, a little bit of. Yeah, it might have sucked, but it was still based on the love from the first 2 seasons.
Oh yeah, like definitely, it's just one bad season, but it was able to carry its audience to the finish line. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at The Bear. It got 9 million views, which pushed it over, compared to Rings of Power, which got 750,000 views. You know, it just shows you how far off the mark they are.
So a really successful show gets 20% of its subscribers to watch it. 20% plus. That's considered a success.
Yes. That is considered. It's a very low metric compared to network, but it's what was it's basically the negotiated threshold with regards to a hit show. So imagine if they get 80% of domestic subscribers getting it. That bonus is going to be huge for those writers and producers. I'm surprised Ted is even on here because that show premiered prior to the WGA agreement, so it shouldn't qualify for it anyway.
No, it doesn't qualify. They're using it as an example of one that didn't make it.
But it's interesting, if you scroll down in this article, Percy Jackson episode qualification, the first 3 episodes hit the threshold, but none of the remaining episodes. It's still good ratings by episode 8, 6 million, but it didn't. I mean, I think we can assume Acolyte did none of this.
So they're judging this by a whole season. They're judging this by a whole season, not per episode, right?
Well, it's kind of I believe it is per episode, which kind of then plays into, do you binge it all or do you run it out week after week?
Right, because I don't know. The metrics seem really weird to me on this.
Well,
Yeah.
the
Well,
way
the
that they're
question is,
aggregating
do you
it here
get
is
paid out
definitely-
on the success of an episode or only the entire season?
It's actually episode by episode, and then there's a season bonus. So basically, if your episode hits the 20% minimum, you get that bonus on top of it. But if the season overall crosses the 20%, that is done for the room, and it's there's like multiple tiers to it. It's not entirely complex, but it's a little tricky to explain if you're not in television writing. But it is there to basically incentivize. If you put on a good show, you will get rewarded for each tier that we have set for you prior.
And what do you think about it, Script?
I think it's the best thing because this is how you flush out all the bad talent in Hollywood, or at least make force them to rise themselves up. And as you'll note, and which has been featured on Film Threat and other channels as well, the only trades that are writing articles about writers not getting work are the writers nobody has heard of, and nobody likes the stuff that they make.
Yeah.
Where's the guys who made Breaking Bad? They're not complaining in the trades that they're not getting work, are they? No, they're fine. You know, Taylor Sheridan's not complaining. But you know, the chick that was working on Superman and Lois, who said that I pitched an IP for 5 seasons, they wouldn't even take my calls. She's upset, like nobody knows her name. And Superman and Lois is a very weak show.
Which means for a Superman show, it's great. I'm still enjoying it. They've at least done the family unit right, and he's not a horrible father. But
yeah, I'm gonna stand by that show. I think it's good.
Oh, good, Dante. Yeah, no, for what it is and for what they've done in the past, it's pretty damn good. But that's also sort of a low bar.
It's a very low bar. I mean, I do like Taylor Hoechlin.
Yeah, he's a very good father and Superman figure, but they're doing the best, I think, with what they got.
They only have 4 actors now in their latest season because they had to fire everyone for budget cuts.
Well, I mean, let's be honest here, man. Outside of Margot Kidder, I mean, to me, she's probably been the best Lois Lane I've seen on screen.
I don't know. Terry Hatcher's the best.
Oh yeah,
Terry Hatcher.
As far as a fully developed Lois, because the whole point is we never see this far into Superman's life. They always stop before we get Superman married with kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very nice to see this version of Lois. They have a very loving relationship where he's still Superman, but he's also a husband, and he submits just enough without being, you know, beta.
Well, they finally gave Superman something he needed, right? They gave him stakes. He has stakes in this show.
He has more personal stakes. However, the production on that show has been bad because not only have they aired an episode with assembly cut special effects, there's also been a number of episodes where Tyler has actually called Bitsy Talek by her name Bitsy in the show instead of Lois, and they hadn't corrected that with looping around.
It's a nickname for Lois now.
Real quick, we will go to supers in a second, but I want to share something. We do an award show every year. It's called Award This. It is based on all the movies that come into Film Threat for review, independent movies, many of them very small, across a whole bunch of categories. And the deadline is coming up. It's September 30th. Submit your film to be eligible for Award This. It's a show we do in December. It's just like a real award show. There's a red carpet. There's a step and repeat. There's a pre-party and after party. It's a lot of fun. Dante gets really drunk every year there.
Not really drunk.
Not really drunk, but
just a little drunk.
He will be there. So submit your movie. Go to awardthis.com and submit. And, you know, there are tickets. It's the only award show I know where you can buy a ticket and go. It's a lot of fun. And also it's all on YouTube. So check out the show. It's a lot of fun.
I'm going to get
remind people that
everything.
If I can give it a plug, I saw it last year. It was heartwarming, heartful, deserved. I loved it. I really, really loved the show. I loved the clips from the movies.
Thank you, Paul.
It was excellent. I really, really recommend everybody participate and watch this show. It was fantastic.
And you know what? I'm going to piggyback on that, and it's really cool to watch these new filmmakers, man, win these awards because they're so grateful. They're so grateful.
Exactly.
They have a great time. You know, they're finally being honored for the work that they put in. It's really a good time. Also, a lot of sexy women there, fellas. So, so get your tickets.
A lot of women who are and actually women who are making movies and are not full of themselves. They're just like, there's no politics in you know, they're not celebrating that. No one went up and said, "Oh, finally, a woman doing independent movies." Like no one was saying that. They were just, and they were wearing funny outfits and overdoing it. I mean, they were, I hate to use the term, they were one of the guys. They were just enjoying themselves. And the other thing I loved was the categories. The categories were killer. And that made it really easy for me to watch the movies because they were so well segmented.
I'm gonna have you do a commercial for it, but
Okay,
but yeah, we should, Paul. We should have you maybe write some sketches.
I'll do it.
Do some sketches. But also a reminder: go to shop.filmthreat.com, pick up something fun. All right.
I used to write for award shows.
Well, I write the script every year. I can't say it's great. It's okay. It's more an outline. It's a loose, and then it's, you know, this year we've got a comedian we haven't announced yet. We have a comedian host, and we'll be doing sketches. We're working on the show now. In fact, Alan and I have a meeting this week to go through some of the nominees. So there you go. I just informed Alan of the meeting.
I know.
Is the comedian a
I mean, the
redhead?
deadline hasn't even hit yet, and we're
well, we got to go through. There's a lot. We have a big we have a working list of the best reviewed films on the site. We work from that list to get our nominees, and all the writers of Film Threat contribute. You know, they contribute their films they think should be nominated. All right, let's go to supers. You've waited patiently. Let's go to super chats right here. And here you go. Well, there's a couple chats here. Say hail,
Leslie Tarkin. Hail to all you lovely people. Eric Stratton, remember for 20 months, Beetlejuice Graveyard Monster Show ran 3 to 4 times a day for 25 years at Universal Orlando. Walked around, characters get good lines for picks in park for 40 years. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, Eric.
Bruce Leroy Jenkins for 5. This must be so awkward for Chris to stream with his old BFF, Alan, along with his new, much younger BFF, Angry Badger. Happy B-Day month, Frank.
Happy birthday month.
Because it's your
Who does those for you?
Oh God, we have our producer Glenn. We have a guy Leo Cody helps us. There's a lot. It's fun.
Who's got that special software that will apply your face to?
Yes, there's a great one of Alan. I'll bring it up soon. Okay, let's keep going here.
Stubble McShave for 50 Swedish krona. Low international box office for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice is because it hasn't opened in many countries yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a slow rollout.
Usually we get a lot.
It's going to be huge in Malmo.
Yeah.
Ben Dowdy, remember for 2 months. From what I've heard, it sounds like they needed to trim the fat. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I say, it felt like enough story for an entire season.
Too many execs in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Condensed into 93 minutes.
And not enough Monica Bellucci.
Tyranitar 96 DA animator. Unfortunately, my tablet shattered. Movie in hiatus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. So you could have bought one from Chris. He was selling tablets once upon a time. Still waiting for that, by the way, Chris. Why did I get my tablet? The Nerd Far Away for 2. Please sing this one, Angry Badger. For fuck's sake, cancel rings of power. Okay, there you go.
Wish I could.
Oh my God.
No, you don't.
Oh my God. All right. Keep going. Thank you for all the generous super chats.
Nemirovsky for 199. R.I.P. James. Legends never die. Yeah, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Thomas Pickett for 2. Not a well-known movie of James Earl Jones. The Man.
Pizza with a Passion. There you go.
What's going on
It's
here?
an AMC pizza.
Nothing.
What's going on here?
Alan, why are you talking
Nothing.
over super chats? What are you
I'm
doing?
setting something up. I'm setting something up.
That's not how you do it.
I have a surprise.
Sabotaging you. Robert Callis for 20. Jones as a child was almost mute because of a speech impediment. He had an amazing teacher who helped him and became one of the greatest voices of our time. Lifetime.
I have him reading the Bible. So
do you really?
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Knee Pain. Hey, shout out Knee Pain, friend of the channel for 5. R.I.P. James Earl Jones, another boy from Western Michigan with a stuttering problem. He was a huge inspiration for me.
Thanks, Knee Pain. Appreciate you. And yeah, no, that's there's a lot. There's a weird thing in Hollywood with a lot of people from Michigan, to the point where we call it the Michigan Mafia. So many people from Michigan. Anyways, continuing.
Bert for $4.99. R.I.P. to Akeem from Africa's father, who also happened to be Simba's father and a certain Jedi's father. R.I.P. to a great talent. D's Webbos for $1.99. R.I.P. James Earl Jones.
Thanks, D's.
Zian Hugh for $7.42. James Earl Jones was instrumental in launching Sesame Street. Regardless of what you may have happened later, it was great in the 70s. R.I.P.
I love Sesame Street in the 70s.
All those kid shows back in the 70s were
I
good,
loved
man.
it in the 80s and early 90s.
It's great up until the early aughts, and I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, then it went off the rails.
We don't know what happened.
Yeah, I think we do all know.
Box office brawler for $1.99. Script Doctor is the man. Keep cooking, chefs.
Oh, thank you.
Now watch out for the man comment. I've actually gone to the movies with him, and that's debatable.
That's great.
Albert, not a retro for 2. Well, John Wayne died in 1979. Rest well, Duke.
I have to show everyone something here. You're not going to believe this. I found this on X. It's Alan eating pizza.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Pineapple, huh?
Pizza. I hate this pizza.
What is Alan? That's Alan in AI.
There you go. That's an AMC.
Doomed.
And let me tell you about this AMC pizza. I hate this pizza. I hate this pizza with a passion.
I'm so happy.
AMC pizza. And let me tell you about this AMC pizza. I hate this pizza.
That is the weirdest way to eat a pizza.
I know.
It's like
That's the only way to judge pizza.
It is the stuff
eat it
of nightmares.
crust down.
It's funny that you mentioned about James Earl Jones going through a speech epoch in his life. An awful lot of well-known people who have become famous for their speech had similar
Samuel L. Jackson.
I mean, Mel Blanc. I mean,
really? Mel Blanc?
He had the accident and got stuck in bed for a month or two or whatever. That's interesting. That's
where Porky Pig came from.
Yeah.
or Joe Biden.
Speaking of Joe,
need proof of life for that one still.
I mean, the one thing that the Democrats dodged that bullet. I mean, he is like descending into decrepitude faster than I think anyone could have imagined.
You realize he's still president, right? He's still president right now,
which is very odd.
Dave.
I think we forget that he's still president. It's weird.
Yeah.
So that's in the American system is different. So in parliamentary system, a person can step down and then another person can just step in, and then they become prime minister until the next election.
That's how we got Kim Campbell, and then she lost in a landslide against her.
Well, she was dealt a bad hand.
Well, technically, I think you could do that here too. They're just choosing not to do it yet. I think what's going to happen is if Kamala slips any lower, they're going to make the switch.
Chris, you're still muted. Sorry.
Isn't there like a debate coming up this week?
Tomorrow.
Today.
The debate's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Tuesday.
Did you read my tweet?
What did you tweet now?
I tweeted that Kamala tomorrow will take Trump to the woodshed where he'll get harassed.
Harassed.
Oh. Yeah, I should write the material for your show.
It looks better in writing than it does.
I can believe it.
Let's keep going with the super chats here.
Yes, Coach sipping Jamba Juice out of a straw for 5. Only people who aren't writers think Chat-GPT can actually write a good script.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yep.
Fair point.
Albert Nato Retro for 10. Harvey Weinstein hasn't been healthy most of his adult life. Dude's in jail. What's he going to do except work out? Jason Priestley, Canadian, put him on his butt at a Golden Globes after party, I believe.
Him and Brad Pitt, actually.
Brad Pitt went to kill him, man.
Brad Pitt's the reason Harvey's nose looks that way.
Stitch, remember for a year. Been paying you shills for a year. What the?
Now,
Thank you.
in Brad Pitt's defense, who's this? Oh,
yeah, you don't need to defend Brad.
In Brad Pitt's defense, he can't. Apparently, he's got an illness that he can't recognize.
Faces.
Face. So maybe he was trying to punch out Tarantino and hit Weinstein instead.
That's true.
No, Weinstein was trying to put the moves on Gwyneth Paltrow, who he was dating at the time.
Exactly.
M for 2. When did tickets go on sale? For Boom,
We will announce
the film?
it's going to be in November, about a month before the event, and they're cheap. You get a gift bag. It's drinks. It's fun.
And there's great Mexican food all around the theater.
Yeah.
Albert Not a Retro for 10. Never liked Lois. She's mean and nasty to Clark until she finds out he's Superman. Mary Jane married Peter Parker in spite of him being Spider-Man. Lane only married Clark because he's Superman. Lois Lane stinks. That is super relevant, or depends on which one relative to whichever comic
pre-crisis
you're going.
that's relevant. Post-crisis, she ends up falling in love with Clark and then
Clark
finds out
first,
he's Superman.
yeah.
And then that's how.
That you could be upset about it, but you'd have to pick the version that
You have to
bothers
pick
you.
which version, right?
Yeah, yeah. Red French Moon for 5. Patrice O'Neill, the late comedian, commented that Margot Kidder wasn't pretty enough for Superman to rewind Earth. It's funny because it's true. I thought she's beautiful.
Well, 1970, whatever it was.
1979, she was gorgeous, and then she had her eating laxatives and smoking spell, which kind of made her look a little skeletal. Then she bounced back from that, looked pretty good, and then
That again, she looked great in the second one. The time travel 2 times in a row kills me. Albert Not a Retro for 2. Monica Bellucci, Melina, Lemon Bath. Milana, Melon, yeah.
Well,
Albert Not a Retro for 2. Script Doctor has no mouth. How can he speak? You have telekinesis, right? We all just hear
that is correct. You're hearing me in your mind.
Don't pay attention to anything else you find in there. Razorburn for 5. Remember the skit on Sesame Street with the singing baker who falls down the stairs after he announces how many pastries he made?
And coconut custard cream pies.
Hey, Razorburn, shout out to you. It's a photo of me in his avatar. That's
nice.
Cool.
Yes.
But I don't remember that one. But I
remember it. I remember it.
I watched it in the early 70s. I was a kid then. So
me too.
Thank you, Razorburn. That's awesome.
My daughter was Barney era.
Unless there are any other obituaries, I guess we.
Well, there is one.
I don't think he said thank you.
Never shave your beard.
That's a classic. That's a classic, Alan. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Great conversation today. Thanks for all your super chats.
One more.
One more. Put it up. Let's go.
Albert Not a Retro for 2 says Lois, Smallville mean. Okay.
All right.
Erica Durance. All right.
Go around, Badger. You've got a stream right after this, right?
Yeah,
we're pointing
at
to it.
3:30 PST. So roughly 30 minutes when all is said and done. Please come and join us. We'll definitely be talking about James Earl Jones and then Beetlejuice and all the things.
Okay, Paul, tell us about your channel.
Well, Call Me Chato is a crazy little channel where I make fun of myself. This medium we call YouTube, and I spend most of my time with lovely people like yourselves talking about show business. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing a review of the trailer for Minecraft, because my son is a massive Minecraft fan, and I recorded it with him, and he offers insights that I don't think anyone has offered on the trailer. It's really a cool video that he's done with me. I'm very proud of the young man.
And I'll be following you for all the Rings of Power news. Verbal.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Verbal Riot on Instagram. I'm sorry, Instagram. Well, yeah, you could actually. Instagram, X, YouTube, Rumble. Also, I finally set up my membership today. And what that gets you is I do these, I don't know why I started doing this. I'm doing these late night, Saturday night streams where I drink a little wine and just kind of say what I want to say, regardless of what YouTube has to say about it. And the last couple of weeks have been fun, man. You guys have been partying with me and we've been talking about some wild shit. So, definitely join the memberships and be on the lookout for the Patreon because it is coming. So
the chat is asking, do you wear tank tops?
I do.
In the
I absolutely do wear tank tops.
Oh, wait, real quick, Badger, this one, grab it.
Graph Web for 2. I thought we were going to escape it, but we're not. Sorry, everyone, strap in. In the name of all that is holy, hashtag cancel Disney Plus. All right, there you go, Graph.
That guy is more consistent than our government.
Everywhere. $2. Cancel Disney
Plug your
Plus.
channel, Badger. Tell us what's up.
Like I said, I've got BadgerCast coming up, and enjoy it. 3:30. Nerd Wars, Diabolical Souls presents Gooch. It's a great time. Mr. Tech Rat, everyone's there. Chris, one day.
Script.
You can follow me on X or on youtube.com/thescriptdoctor, where every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we review a screenplay that's currently circulating around Hollywood, getting you the first time step and look at what could be produced and actually could be in theaters in a few years. So go check that out. And you can also find me on Patreon where you get more advanced notice.
Do I have to wait for you to finish your TIFF before we can finish our screenplay?
Unfortunately, yes.
And also, thanks to our mod today, Lord Thoth, and Atomic Lori, and Glenn Nuccio. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week with more Verses. Wednesday, Alan and I are doing Hollywood on the Rocks and our regular Friday live cast.
By the way, Friday, we're reviewing the film Is Chris Racist?
Obviously.
Yeah, Dante, are you joining us for that one?
I am, actually.
Yes. Am I racist? We're seeing it on Thursday. We'll talk about it on Friday.
Thank you for inviting me. Alan and Chris, I really appreciate it. Always have fun here.
We'll have you on Monday. Alan, did I forget anything?
No, unfortunately, it's a slow week, so that's our movie.
Hey, there are great movies. We are covering a lot of cool stuff Friday. Join us for that. Alan?
Let's get out of here.